Reddit story, my ex-wife and I kept living together after our divorce. Then everything changed. Part 3, final. The envelope sat on my kitchen table all night. I couldn't bring myself to open it. Part of me was afraid it would confirm that our marriage had been beyond saving. Another part hoped it would tell me I'd missed something important. The next morning, I finally unfolded the letter. If you're reading this, it means we're probably already too far apart. I don't want a divorce, but I don't know how to reach you anymore. I still love you. I just miss being your best friend. I read those words over and over. She had written the letter 3 days before we signed the divorce papers, but I'd never received it. I called Emma immediately. She sounded surprised. You found it. You knew about the letter. I left it inside your old photo album because I thought you'd look through it before we filed. When you never mentioned it, I assumed you didn't feel the same. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. One unopened letter, one simple misunderstanding, and 8 years together had fallen apart. We met at the same little cafe where we'd shared countless conversations after the divorce. This time there was no pretending. I was angry, I admitted, but mostly I was hurt. Instead of telling you, I buried myself in work. Emma nodded. I kept waiting for you to notice I was falling apart. When you didn't, I stopped asking for help. For the first time in years, we cried together instead of separately. A few days later, I met Rachel one last time. Before I could explain everything, she smiled. You love her, don't you? I nodded. I never stopped. Rachel laughed softly. I figured that out before you did. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm glad I came back, not because we had a chance, but because you finally realized where your heart belongs. We hugged goodbye. That was the last time I saw her. Over the following months, Emma and I didn't rush anything. We didn't move back in together. We started over. Coffee became weekend breakfasts. Breakfast became long walks. Long walks became date nights. This time we asked difficult questions instead of avoiding them. We promised never to let silence become louder than love again. A year later, I took Emma back to the park where I'd proposed the first time. She laughed the moment she saw me standing there with a small ring box. Seriously? She asked. I smiled nervously. I know this isn't how most people do things. She wiped away tears before I could finish. You don't even have to ask. I laughed. I was going to anyway. I got down on one knee. Emma, will you marry me again? Not because we want our old marriage back, but because we've finally become the people we needed to be. She nodded before I finished the sentence. Yes. This time our wedding was small. No huge venue, no expensive decorations, just close family, a few friends, and promises we actually understood. During our vows, Emma smiled and said, I don't promise we'll never argue. I promise we'll never stop talking. When it was my turn, I looked at her and replied, You're still my favorite person to come home to. Everyone cried. Even the photographer admitted he had to wipe his eyes. Last week, we celebrated our 2nd anniversary. People often ask how it feels to marry the same person twice. I always give the same answer. The first time, we married because we were in love. The second time, we married because we finally understood what love actually requires. Sometimes people think divorce is always the end of a story. For us, it became the painful chapter that taught us how to write a better ending. And every time Emma makes coffee in the morning, so roommates again? I grin every single time. No. This time, we're home.